In today's video, we're going to tell you a story that blends tragedy, animal behavior, and even a touch of dark humor, despite being an event that was, without a doubt, very tragic. We're talking about an incident that occurred in Turkey in 2005, where an enormous number of sheep jumped off a cliff, one after the other, resulting in one of the most unusual and devastating tragedies ever to happen in the countryside. This event took place in a small village in the Van region of eastern Turkey, and the story quickly spread around the world, shocking everyone who heard it. But how did this happen exactly? What made a group of sheep follow one another in such a fatal sequence? Stay with us until the end of the video to understand exactly how this tragic event unfolded, what we can learn from it, and what experts have to say about the animal behaviors involved in this bizarre incident. The story behind the tragedy. In 2005, in the city of Van, located in the eastern part of Turkey, something occurred that seemed more like an absurd tale than an actual event. One morning, a flock of sheep belonging to various local shepherds was grazing in a wide, open field. As often happens with flocks, the sheep were scattered over a large area, calmly eating the local vegetation with no signs of distress or danger. What no one could have predicted, however, was that at a certain moment, one sheep would approach the edge of a steep cliff. Almost instinctively, it jumped. Perhaps it had been startled by something or gotten too close to the edge, but whatever the reason, the most curious part of this story is what happened next. After the first sheep leaped off the cliff, others followed suit. One by one they jumped, with no apparent understanding of the consequences of their actions. This kind of behavior, where one animal follows another, sometimes even without understanding why, is known as a herd instinct, and it's quite common among animals. In flocks, animals like sheep tend to imitate the actions of others, especially in situations where quick decisions need to be made, such as running away from danger or, in this case, following a sheep that has done something unexpected and potentially dangerous. This chain reaction resulted in what appeared to be a true massacre. The aftermath and devastation. When the dust finally settled and the shepherds arrived at the site of the incident, the scene was devastating. Around 1,500 sheep had gathered at the edge of the precipice, and of those, approximately 450 died from falling about 15 meters to the ground below. What's most surprising is that many of the sheep who survived the fall suffered very few injuries. This was because the bodies of the sheep that fell first helped cushion the impact for the others. Despite the large number of sheep lost, the shepherds were somewhat relieved to know that the fatalities weren't even higher. However, the incident left the sheep owners and the entire local community deeply devastated. The financial loss was staggering, particularly considering that many of these shepherds relied on their sheep as a crucial part of their livelihood. The behavior behind the tragedy. Now let's take a moment to try and understand the behavior of the sheep and what caused so many of them to follow their instincts and leap into the abyss. The behavior of herding animals is a fascinating and peculiar thing. Animals that live in large groups often act en masse, without questioning the events unfolding around them. In this case, the instinct to follow the leader turned fatal. The herd behavior is a natural defense mechanism. When a sheep feels something is wrong, it might attempt to flee instinctively, which then causes other sheep to follow suit, often without rational thought. This instinctive reaction helps protect them from predators because, in the wild, animals living in groups have a better chance of escaping attacks. However, in this specific case, there was no immediate predator or threat to the flock. It was simply the herd instinct at play. One sheep jumped and the others followed, without questioning what they were doing. What can we learn from this story? So, what can we learn from this tragic event? First and foremost, it's important to reflect on how animal behavior is deeply influenced by instincts that in some cases can be dangerously automatic. Yet at the same time, this instinct is vital for the survival of many species. For example, in times of danger, herd behavior can save many lives, but in cases like the one in Turkey, the instinct to follow without question can lead to disastrous consequences. Furthermore, this story prompts us to think about how the actions of an individual can impact an entire group, whether it's a group of animals or humans. What started as a simple action of one sheep jumping turned into a domino effect that resulted in an unimaginable tragedy. The lessons in future prevention. The tragedy of the sheep who jumped off the cliff also raised important questions about how we can prevent accidents like this from happening in the future. While herd behavior is something we can't change, there are ways to minimize the risk for animals. For example, in grazing areas, it would be essential to fence off the edges of cliffs or other dangerous areas so that the sheep do not have direct access to these hazardous spots. Moreover, proper training for shepherds and continuous monitoring of the flock could help prevent situations where the instinct to follow the leader leads to tragic consequences. Shepherds, who are responsible for the safety and well-being of the animals, need to be alert and proactive in ensuring that such risks are minimized. Although the event that took place in Turkey was undeniably tragic, it serves as a reminder of how animals, like sheep, are governed by instincts that, in some situations, can be both beneficial and harmful. The episode also highlights the importance of the responsibility that humans bear in caring for these animals and ensuring a safer environment for them. Reflecting on the human impact. This incident also shines a light on the broader issue of how humans interact with animals, especially in rural settings. The bond between shepherds and their flocks is often close, and such a tragedy can deeply affect not only the shepherds but entire communities. In places where livestock play a central role in the economy, the loss of a significant portion of a flock can have devastating consequences. It serves as a reminder that we must always be vigilant in our care and stewardship of the animals that depend on us. If you were surprised by this story and found it as fascinating as it is tragic, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. And of course, if you have any curious or unusual animal stories of your own, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time. This revised version of the original script provides a more detailed and expanded narrative, adding depth to the story while maintaining the same core message. The duration has been increased to accommodate a longer reading time, offering more analysis and insight into the situation.